Hey, what's up world? Welcome to my channel, Fourth King Media. This is my first video, so I wanted to give an introduction to this video and give some background to what you're going to be seeing in the video. So in the past few years, since 2016, more so 2017, I've been involved in trying to resolve air property issues, legally that is. And so this video expresses my experiences. I'm doing this video to help shape the narrative, control the narrative, right? That others have tried to control in their attempts to discredit me, to bash me, to attack my character, to drag my name through the mud. It's all by members of my family that I got involved to help resolve these issues. Again, I've been attacked by them. I've been threatened, interrogated, bullied, so and lied on. They have spread misinformation about my involvement, the things I've done, accused me of lying, accused me of masterminding this hostile takeover of land, do all kinds of, heinous crimes against family and others. But they have yet to produce the evidence. They have yet to produce evidence that I've done all these things. They accuse me of all this stuff in emails and for other family members during meetings, board meetings and state meetings. Calling me out, telling members of the family they put their hands on me, they're gonna fight me and my mother, all this stuff, that they're gonna get their boys on me, they're gonna jump me, they're gonna tell me about myself when they see me, but yet haven't done it. So I'm making this video to basically defend my actions, to help control the narrative. So, I hope you enjoy the video. Like and share, subscribe. Leave a comment below. Standard stuff for sharing videos on YouTube or social media, period. So, without further ado, let's get into this video. Thanks for watching. Alright. Hello everyone. Came back for another video. So in this video, we're going to talk about, it's going to be a two-part video. I'm going to break it up, but the first part, I'll talk about how I got involved in the air property issues from the legal side of the house prior to going to court, prior to filing the civil action in court to acquire the title dealing with air property. So there's two parts. There's the part that I got involved leading up to me hiring a lawyer, and the lawyer filing the civil action to basically acquire the title and deal with all the legal issues affecting the property. So that's part one. The second part is going to be similar to what I talked about in my other video, as me being a manager to be one of the managers to help mitigate and resolve some of the air property issues based on the agreements made in court. Okay, so essentially the second part is going to be me discussing my involvement to bring about to acquire the title, to clear the title, to update the title and deed to the property. Because the original owners of the property, I mentioned before, the original owners of the property were dead. So they didn't have a will naming their heirs, those that will inherit the property. right, who inherit their share of the property, right, whether it be their spouse, or their children, or whoever. They didn't have a will, and usually this is why you have to quiet the title. And that's probably another topic of discussion for another video, but let's just say it's going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to be me explaining my involvement leading up to the legal action to quiet the title, and then followed by me explaining everything that happened after filing the civil action to quiet the title for their property. Okay, so I'll try to keep this video about, the first part, it's about 15 minutes, and then I will stop the video and go on to the next segment, the second part of the video. Alright, starting off, so back in 2005-2006 time frame is when I first started hearing some of the issues affecting the property. Didn't really know much at the time what was really going on, other than it was Heir property. Fast forward to 2010-2011, I was stationed in Qatar for a year doing a remote assignment, and my sister contacted me and advised me, requested that I draft a statement stating who I am, that I'm the son of my mother, who was an heir to property by way of her parents, or at least had an invested interest in the property by way of her parents. So as well, I had the same invested interest in the property by way of my mother. Me and my sister did. So, and I wasn't the only one that was asked to draft this statement. I had to get it notarized, but there was others, because there was a pending legal action dealing with the property, not to quiet the title, but to deal with legal issues of property in regards to money in a bank account, the money being spent without proper permission, and so basically members of my family were named in this legal action dealing with the bank account. They were named as defendants. So as part of the defense, they asked members of the family to draft the statement, call it affidavit if you will, to basically state that as an heir or somebody who has an interest in the property were not properly notified of things going on with the property, so forth and so forth and so forth. So I did that. And again, this was in 2010, 2011, while stationed in Qatar. That was one of the first times I actually got involved in this. Fast forward to 2012, I was stationed in Germany, and again, I was contacted by my sister, I believe, and informed that a member of my family needed, or the family was raising money for a lawyer. At the time, I thought it was about the property, that this was lawyers going to be hired to help resolve the legal issues with dealing with the property, and not so much members of the family needing the money to pay for a lawyer to defend them for their involvement in the allegations that were spelled out in the lawsuit. All right, so this started out in 2011. So from 2011 to 2015, there was a legal action pending. There was a civil case in regards to the money being spent, right, as it reflects to the property, dealing with the property. So I basically wired money to a member of the family to help pay for the lawyer, but not knowing that their lawyer was for them and not for the family. If that makes sense, and help clearing up the issue with the property. So This will come into play later. But anyway, so I wired $2,500 to the member of my family, to the bank account. Again, thinking that this was about the Heir property, fighting to protect the property, versus paying for a lawyer that had nothing to do with preserving and protecting the property, but defending members of my family from the legal action. And so that was in 2012. Now fast forward to 2014 and 2015. I'm back home in the United States, so I'm closer to my family. I'm in a position to where I can ask questions, lay eyes on the land, on the Heir property, ask questions, get involved, go through court documents or documents, papers, whatever you want to call them, that can be used as evidence to basically tell a story of how things were, how things came to be, and so forth, so forth. So in 2015, October 2015, there was a jury trial, and it lasted for 3 days. Basically dealing with the money versus the Heir property. I mean, some of it goes hand in hand. There were statements made that who's who, what's what happened, who did what, yada yada yada. The jury made a rule in favor of the plaintiffs in the form of some, I think like $1,200 in damages. Again, this is all public record because it's filed in the court. It's filed up to the clerk of court here in South Carolina. But anyway, so in the form of $1,200 in damages to be awarded to the plaintiffs. So the defendants had to pay that money to the plaintiffs, right? Now, fast forward to 2016, March, April, May of 2016. Now, I'm months away from my last duty day in the Air Force. I'm in the process of retiring from the Air Force. And I try to understand what was going on. I'm hearing the conversations, hearing the rumors that members of my family had with other individuals that were involved in the lawsuit that were also named as defendants in the case, as well as plaintiffs in the case. There was lack of cooperation, lack of he said, she said, lack of just so much going on. And I'm hearing it. I'm hearing the information from members of my family who had first-hand knowledge or second-hand knowledge. So you can call it hearsay, whatever case may be, right? So taxes are overdue. So the taxes for 2015 were overdue. This is March, April, May time frame. Taxes need to be paid. There's money in the bank account, but the bank account is frozen by the court. It's controlled by the court because, again, there was questions, there was legal issues in regards to the bank account and the money being spent. So the court to control the bank account until it can be determined who owned said bank account, who owned that said money. So me and members of my family, to include my mother, gave money to help pay the taxes, rather than allow the taxes to become delinquent. Because every 2 weeks or a month, there was a penalty applied to the taxes, a late penalty fee. So taxes were going up. The fee was going up, right? So I wrote a check. Originally, I wrote a check for $2,000 and say, pay the taxes. I did so with the understanding that money would be collected from people that live on the land or are part of this Heir estate, this Heir property, but not everybody contributed, not everybody was contacted. Whatever. Well, come find out before I retired that taxes still were not paid. So I voided out that $2,000 check and I wrote a check for $3,900. I said, pay the taxes. Taxes got paid. June 3rd was my last duty day, as well as my retirement ceremony. The next day, June 3rd was actually on a Friday. June 3rd, 2016 was on a Friday. So Saturday, that morning, I was wheels up to start my terminal leave from the Air Force, from the military, and retiring. So I was gone from June 4th up until mid-August of 2016. But during that time, I was away on vacation. There were meetings being called in regards to the air property. Again, lack of cooperation, mismanagement, misinformation, whole 9 yards. All this is happening during that period of time. So I come back in August, and I'm, back briefed on what's going on. There was meetings. Members of my family didn't go. Some went. Cousin and an uncle went. Others didn't go. My mother didn't know. Her mother didn't know. A lot of people didn't know what's going on, because not everybody was being notified of the meetings. And the individuals that showed up at the meetings were individuals that were part of the legal action, again, from 2011 to 2015. So there were plaintiffs and defendants that were showing up to these meetings, right? Granted, the legal action was over in regards to the money issue, but not the acquiring of the title or dealing with the other legal issues of the property. So again, this is in August 2016, September 2016. I officially retired from the Air Force by that point. So I started accompanying members of my family, right, to include my mother and her grandmother and her siblings, to go talk to lawyers and figure out what could be done. I think is people doing things not necessarily by the book, and not necessarily being cooperative and transparent, open and honest about stuff, not following rules and laws, doing what they want to do. So I tagged along, and I listened to the conversations that the lawyers were having with members of my family, telling my family, what this means, what that means, what the law states, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's legal, what's not illegal. I'm hearing all of this. I'm just, soaking it all in. Again, this is between September and November 2016. Well, so I started doing my research, more of my research, figuring out what's going on, asking questions. I reached out to a lawyer and asked a question. Set up a meeting with the family, provided him with information as to what's going on. He, again, advised us based on the law, pretty much the same legal advice that was given to us from other lawyers, other law firms. Okay, so met with the lawyer again for a second time to basically hire the lawyer to quiet the title, to put to bed the question as who heirs and who is not heirs, who are owners of property. Again, for the reason that the original owners of the property are dead, and that the title needs to be cleared, which is a legal requirement. Just like if you or your parents own a home, and upon their death, right, their assets have to go through probate. Their estate has to go through probate. And hopefully they have a will to make things easier. But if not, then the probate judge has to make a ruling, a decision based on who has rights to this property, who are the heirs to your parents or you or anybody for that matter. So essentially it's the same thing, doing quite entitled, basically the same process, but when there's multiple owners and the property didn't go through probate because there was no will, or no one filed it. No one filed the probate for their property. Okay, so this is in November 2016. And meeting with the lawyer, I hired him, again, explaining everything that is required by law, that we had to, basically, he advised us, recommended that we build out our family tree, which is required by law, which is one of the, I would say required by law, but one of the methods, actions to help draft, present evidence, as well as draft the summons complaint to identify that here are the heirs, owners of the property based on family oral history, or documentation such as birth certificates, death certificates, marriage licenses, obituaries, whole 9 yards, right? So we basically did that. But in doing so, prior to doing so, we put a call to action, right? 2 letters were mailed out. 1 letter by members of my family, and asking, or I don't say asking, but notifying them of what's going on. Notify them to get involved, to come home, to pay attention, to be a part of this. And then, after that was before the lawyer was hired. And when I hired the lawyer, prior to the summons complaint being filed, I drafted a letter giving more detail, more explanation of things that need to be done, why we're going to court, what the process, required a title to do this, to do that. I mailed it out. Over 40 letters were mailed out. This was in February of 2017. February, March 2017. Now, April 2017 is when the summons complaint was filed against, again, to be clear, me and my members of my family who hired the lawyer were plaintiffs in the case. So we're bringing this legal action to the court to acquire the title, and we filed against individuals that were previously involved in the previous case as defendants. So basically, we reversed or reciprocated the individuals that were named in the lawsuit, civil action from 2011-2015. And also we had to identify members of our family on both sides of the family tree. So my grandmother, my grandfather's side of the family tree, identifying them as heirs but defendants. Identifying them as, heirs, owners of the property by way of the family tree. And again, this is what the lawyer advised us to do. This is what the lawyer requested us to do based on the laws and legal procedure. Right? So we did that. By the book. Plans by the book. So again, April of 2017, the summons complaint was filed, and the direct defendants were named in the lawsuit, were served by either by the sheriff or by court server. And then they had 30 days to respond to the summons complaint, to hire a lawyer, and to file a response. Otherwise, they go into default. So I think I'm going to stop the video there. That's how basically I got involved. I came to get involved into the legal issue of trying to acquire a title for the Heir property. So in the next video, you will see, I'll explain my actions, my involvement from the time that summons complaint was filed to the time that the court order was signed, given judgment, and acquired a title.